All right, what is up? Anthony with Bleacher Bums Gaming, and today, as a follow-up to the release of Glory Days Pro Football, I want to do a more deliberate and inclusive tutorial of the game, which will include deep dives into the cards, the charts, gameplay examples, and finally a video FAQ based on questions or clarifications that have been received since the release of the game, which again, I think everybody who has purchased it, thank you so much for your support. And I'm looking forward to growing this game, getting a lot of retroactive seasons out over the coming years. And again, I appreciate everyone who's shown love and support for the game. And hopefully we can keep it growing and I can continue to get seasons out. I want to get at least the current season and then two to three retro seasons a year. And moving forward, Glory Days Boxing there's one more real life fighter set coming up this year. And then after that, it will probably be very sporadic updates. There will still obviously be support of the game. And there's still little gameplay enhancements I would like to add, such as a career module to help with that. So, and all that stuff will be free, of course. But in terms of actual sets, this will probably be the last real-life boxer set. There'll be updates for the fictional boxers periodically, but it'll basically take a back seat to the football game. And then still in the pipeline down the road is a wrestling game as well, which will focus on the territory days, not the current acrobats that you see as wrestling. But I digress. So let's talk about the agenda. First thing we're going to do is do a deep dive into the cards. And basically what everything on the cards means, when the information on the cards is used in the game and in what game mode it's used in. Deep dive of the charts and how to resolve each situation, such as big plays that come on the drive portion, that type of thing. And then a sample of hybrid play, which will include the setup. And then finally, FAQ questions, and I've got basically 7 things outside of the first 3 items that I'm going to be covering there. So that said, let's get it, and we'll go straight into the teams. Now, some of this stuff is obvious, but I'm going to go through it anyway, just to be, again, completely thorough. So obviously, team names and records, drive offense and drive defense. So these first 2 numbers here, these first 2 numbers here are the 9 and the 10 on Baltimore. Those are the respective numbers that you reference on the first drive of quick play mode, which is basically 2 drives put together, 2 simulated drives put together, and also the simulated portion of hybrid mode. And I do want to add that when I get into the play example, I'm going to do the hybrid mode of the game for one reason, because that obviously incorporates pieces of the quick play and pieces of the full play-by-play game. So by showing you the full process, you'll be able to grasp or see how the play-by-play works in its entirety as well as the quick play. So the second drive numbers here, the 18 and 15 in the case of Baltimore, these are only used if you are doing quick play, and these are the ratings that are used for the second portion of the drive. Goal line ratings, this is another thing that is only used in quick play, and this is basically a game balance mechanic. If you have a quick play drive that stalls inside the 10-yard line, in testing there was a little bit, I guess, a little overabundance of those drives. So rather than having your kicker continuously try, 24-yard field goals, this goal line rating comes into play where if you're stopped at the 10 or inside the 10 on the second simulated drive in quick play, you will take goal line rating 12, in this case for Baltimore, minus the goal line adjustment of the defense, minus 3 for New York, or you could also add. So that makes the total here 9. Roll a d20, and it's pretty simple. If you get 9 or less, you add 1 play to the second simulated drive and the necessary yardage away for the touchdown. If you do not, you're stopped right there. You do not add a play, and you must have or try a field goal at that point. Penalties. First number here, 1 to 10, is the offense. Second number is 18 to 20. And when you're calculating these, if you have a potential penalty come up, which again occurs, as it says here, when doubles are rolled on the 2d6s, you will check, first of all, the d20. If it's within 1 to 10, it's an offensive penalty. Then if for a defensive penalty, you go to the opponent's card and check that second range. So in the case of these two teams, penalty comes up, 1 to 10, Baltimore offensive penalty, 17 to 20, New York defensive penalty. Drives per game, 10. And one thing I'll get into in the FAQ is how to break these drives down and allocate them over the course of a game. But this has a number of drives per team per game. You will add these two numbers together. So in this case, it will be 21 total drives for the entire game for both teams. And again, I'll show you the allocation when we get to the FAQ. And traits, finally. Now, traits, let me bring up this. All right, so traits are listed on the back page of the game manual, and basically, overall, pretty self-explanatory. I wish I could have put these on the cards with an explanation like you'll see in the boxing game, but space constraints, there's no way this is going to fit. So this trait tells you what happens if you make a successful trait roll. And just an example here, clutch, get drive, result from row 2 above regular row. So in this case, if you're getting your drive results from the +1 call or +1 row on the drive chart, you would go to +3. And then, as it says, -1 from all play-by-play trench control rolls on the last drive of the game. And this entire trait applies only to the last drive of the game if trailing by 8 or less. All right. And then, of course, there's defensive traits as well. We'll look at the first one down here at the bottom. Stout. Add 2 to the stuff range on run defense. And that asterisk there, you'll see here on the card on the camera using Baltimore. Run defense is down here with the asterisk next to it. And if they had this trait, which they don't, but if they had this trait, you would, on third down, if you rolled a successful trait roll pregame, their stuff rate normally is 0 to 6, which is as good as it gets. In fact, that's phenomenal. It would make it 0 to 8 if they had that trait whenever they won trench control. So you can see there, you're not going to get a lot of first downs on 3rd and 1 if the defense wins trench control in the case of this trait. So that's basically, and again, I just went over a couple. They're all pretty much self-explanatory in the adjustments you make. So when do you apply them? So at the beginning of each game, you'll see here what the trait is. And for Baltimore, Baltimore has closed the deal. And I will actually go back and look at that. So close the deal is a defensive trait. Offense gets drive result from row 2 below the regular row and -1 from all defensive play-by-play trench control rolls on the last drive of the game if leading by 8 or less. So what this trait represents is the defensive ability to shut down the game at the end and hold on to the lead in a close game. And an example here, if the team Baltimore is playing has a -1 for their drive, portion of the hybrid game. They would take the result instead from the -3 row on the last drive of the game. So pre-game, you roll a d20. If you roll 11 or less, they have successfully acquired the close the deal trait for that game, and you will make the following adjustments. And again, some of these traits affect a great deal of the game. Others, like this one, only affect the very last drive, so it's something you don't even need to think about until you get to that point if it is a game that you are winning by 8 points or less. If you roll 12 or above in this case, there is no trait applied. Just ignore it. Play the normal game. The Jets, conversely, have an air traffic control ATC trait 1 to 12, which makes it harder to complete passes in situations. So that's what the traits mean, and you have to go to the back of the rule book to get the description. And again, don't even need to do that if you roll for it and don't get within the range here. So, but I would suggest probably giving them a once over to get familiar with them and how they will work. One thing too, before I get too much further in this card, or these cards, if you're just learning the game, I would probably, like I'm going to do the demo in hybrid mode, I would probably recommend learning the game in hybrid mode only and not worrying about the other two modes. And reason being, again, if you're a person that just likes to play full play-by-play and you don't mind spending 90 minutes to 2 hours on a football game, by all means do that, and you will still get the mechanics of the play-by-play by learning the game just on hybrid, because the play-by-play mode obviously is the same as the play-by-play mode in hybrid that takes place if you cross the 50-yard line. So that, again, your game, play how you want, but that's what I would suggest, especially learning if you haven't previously played the college game or are not familiar with Glory Days boxing. So moving down to this box here where we have the RO, which is run offense, pass offense, run defense, pass defense. These are your trench control star ratings, and these work just like the ring general ratings, star ratings do in Glory Days boxing. So once you're in play-by-play mode, you will roll the D6s. White is offense and red is defense, and you'll look on the appropriate number. So we'll just say Baltimore has called a running play. They roll 1 star on the run offense trench control. And the Jets, they roll a 1 on the run defense. So they're going to win trench control, which means the result of this play will come right here on the Jets run defense row towards the bottom of the card. And again, we'll get more thoroughly into that as I get into the play description. So the one difference with football game versus Glory Days boxing is in the boxing game, they're mixed up to add a little bit of unpredictability. Here, they are basically ordered top to bottom. 2 stars is the highest rating you can have, at least in the pro game, all the way down to no stars, depending on how good or bad your offense and defense is. And the reason I ordered them this way, again, there's additional charts with this version 2 engine, and I wanted to make it as intuitive as possible, knowing that pretty much any time you roll a 1, you're going to have 2 stars. So as you get into the game, especially if you're playing with the same team, you'll get these memorized and know what the result is there. Quick play TD or QPTD, quick play touchdown. And what this does, if you're playing full quick play mode, and this is only used in quick play mode, I digress. The trench control ratings are used obviously in full play-by-play and in the play-by-play portion of the hybrid mode. So if you're playing quick play and you score, you'll roll a D10. And in the case of Baltimore, 0 to 4 would be a run touchdown, and 5 to 9 would be a pass touchdown. And I'll get into how to allocate the TD to a player when I get to the FAQ. And honestly, that is one thing that was an oversight in the rule book, which I will amend. But in the meantime, you'll have this video to reference. So that one you might want to write down when I get to it, because if you have an existing rule book, obviously it's not in there. And apologies for that. Specials, the last box up here. Kickoff in the rating, kick return in the rating, punt in the rating, punt return in the rating. These come into play in all special teams modes, obviously. And you can see on the game chart here, which has the field on it, the kickoffs by rating tell you touchback, goal line, if it's fielded at the 5 or 10, etc. The higher in the alphabet, the better. Kickoff return, same thing. And punt return, same thing. Those are all on the chart that has the field on it. Block rating, and this is something else I'll get into in the FAQ, but this is basically if the defense's ability to block a kick, and this will be applied in both punts and field goals. Field goals and extra points could be applied at any time. On punts, it is only applied if you roll a 9 on the punt result for the offense. And again, further explanation coming on that, but that's where you'll find it. And when you do roll a block, it's always the defense. You don't roll that team's block or look at that team's block rating. That's for when they are on defense. Onside kick is standard. Data on onside kicks is very hard to come by and sparse. With what I did find about the average completion rate of an onside kick was roughly 17%. So here, if you roll the you'll roll the 2d10 and look at them as a whole number, 0 to 99. If you get 1 to 18, it is a successful onside kick. If you get above or roll a 0, it is not a successful onside kick. All right, moving on. Down here on the individual player play calling matrix. And this is one thing that I think as you get going with the game will make this flow a lot better. In the version 1 of Glory Days Football, the college game, you used a D10 to discern what the play was based on down and distance, and then had to go to another place on the card to find out who the ball carrier was after you got the result. It kind of cumbersome, and this is a lot more straightforward. The biggest issue I think you'll have here initially as you learn the game is when you go to the play-by-play chart, you do have to go to an extra chart to get the yardage result, but Edwards, as an example, is rated an E. So on the play-by-play chart, you would look on the E column, and this is if offense wins trench control, and E is a very good runner rating. If defense wins it, or actually if it's a stalemate, E here, and if defense wins trench control, you would use the defense's run rating, which looking at the Jets right here is a J. Down here on their run defense. So in terms of the BCR numbers, I'll go through each column here. The only time you need to use this is if you're playing hybrid or quick play and keeping stats. If you're going to play hybrid and you don't worry about stats, no big deal. You don't need to use this, ignore it. This is entered on the Excel helper, which I'll also show when we get to that portion of the video. And basically you will enter this, which the alpha rating, the Excel helper is set up to automatically distribute touches in quick play or hybrid mode on the simulated drive portions. And then this yardage adjustment goes on that chart as well. And what that does is it adjusts the simulated stats accordingly to the player's actual performance. So Mitchell's an example, is a K, which is not a lot of touches. But when he does get a touch that is allocated to him on the simulated portion of the drive in hybrid or quick play, he will get a +3 to his to the average yardage results. And again, I'll get a little bit deeper into that. So BCR, if you're not keeping stats, ignore it. If you are keeping stats on the Excel helper, use it in quick play and hybrid. Rating, this is where you get the, and Edwards is an I, not an E. Jackson is an E. So Lamar Jackson would come off that E column I showed you. So this is the actual column you use on the play-by-play chart to get the yardage result, which I showed you previously. Higher is better. Mitchell, you see here, is an A. That's as good as it gets. Lamar Jackson, an E, is pretty good. You get down to I, G, etc., L, average or below average. And, you know, you can tell that by Gordon as an example. -2 to his yardage allocation on simulated drives, which tells you as an L he is a below average runner, at least based on the team performance. And team performance is down here on run-o. Ravens had a very good run offense, average 4.9 a pop. So that's just telling you he was roughly 2 yards below that average. Same thing on the receivers. The BCR ratings, you use the alpha character in the appropriate column on the stat helper, the visitor or home stat helper page. And then the yardage adjustment is entered in the column next to that. Their ratings work the same way as running ratings. This is the column that you will look at on the play-by-play chart. So Zay Flowers rated an L. So for him, if offense wins, you would go here to find what the yardage result is. And for him, on an offensive win, it could vary from 8 to 17 or a potential big play. If the defense wins, again, go to L. Here you see you're not going to have any big plays and could possibly have a fumble, which I'll talk about when I get into the chart deep dive. All right, so play calling matrix, how does it work? So you go by down and distance. First down, and these are all on a D20 roll, so your D20 roll, and you can roll, I roll all dice together, you can roll them one at a time, whatever your preference is. So 10, on first down, 10, and you go down the matrix and you look for a number equal to or below. So 10 would be a run to Hill. Edwards would be 1 to 5. Jackson would be 6 to 9. 10, 11, 12, and 13. And that's who your ball carrier is going to be. Conversely, say it's 3rd and 6 plus. Roll a 7. And you see here the last run allocation is 4. So 5 to 8. This is a pass intended for Zay Flowers, and that's how that works. And speaking of the play calls, when you get to these columns that are color-coded, so I looked at different ways to possibly adapt this. One was to take this rating and apply it consistently for first or second down. For 3rd and 6 plus, make it a higher rating. For 3rd and 1 to 2, make it a lower rating. Fine in theory, but all it does is make the cards busier in the play calling matrix, so I did not do that. Instead, this is the adjustment. So on 3rd and 6 plus, defense is going to assume to be expecting a pass. And again, some of these mechanics I just take from my time, 36 seasons as a high school football coach. And it takes the guesswork out of it and also trends on what would happen in a game. In other words, if I have a team in 3rd and 12 and I'm the defensive coordinator, I'm probably going to bring either a little pressure or we're going to play coverage on the back end and drop into, say, like a 3-deep zone. Again, playing pass, which means our defensive ends are going to get off the ball quicker, go right at the quarterback because they don't have to pin the edge to contain the run, etc. So that's my logic behind that. So what this means is green, the defense is not expecting to run on 3rd and 6, just like they're not expecting a pass on 3rd and 1 to 2. So when you get this result, when you do the trench control roll and play-by-play, you will automatically deduct 1 from the roll. So, and you'll see how it can make a difference. We'll use the Jets here. So 3rd and 6 plus, they call a run. Normally a 4 would be no stars, which is bad news. This would minus 1 from that roll, make it a 3. So they would actually get a star on that. So that can make a positive difference. Or if you get in the yellow column, this means the defense is expecting a run. You will add 1 to the offensive trench control roll. So in that case, that would have made the Jets roll a 5. Wouldn't have made a difference there. For the Ravens, though, it would. And again, we're talking 3rd and 1 to 2. Running play, and if they rolled a 4, it would boost it to a 5 and take a star. So that's how that works. Green, minus 1 from the offensive trench control roll. Yellow, plus 1 to the offensive trench control roll to basically simulate the fact that the defense is going to be expecting or not expecting those particular plays. So that does it for the play matrix. Going down to passing. So these rows come off the offensive card, offense, asterisk, and stalemate. So when the offense wins trench control on a passing play, you will get your completion or incomplete result from this row here. And again, I'll get specifically into those mechanics when we get into the simulation or the demonstration of the game. Stalemate, you see the completion percentages go down a little bit. And in the case of the Ravens here, they basically are going to have a chance to complete 80% of their passes when they win trench control. Now, you'll see here 0 to 6, which is 70%. Your 20% incompletion, 7 to 8. Now here, blue is a potential sack. So, and again, we'll get into that, how that works. But if there is a sack, obviously they lose the yardage. If quarterback is able to evade the rush and get the ball away, it's going to be complete. On a stalemate, that sack avoidance would result in an incomplete pass. So you can see the difference here. Basically 60% chance on a stalemate and 80% chance when offense wins trench control. All right, moving to the quarterback percentage. And again, this is going to be another thing. God, let me get this out of here. Okay. And we'll look at the Jets here. So this completion percentage is only used in hybrid or quick play if you are keeping stats. If you're not keeping stats, it doesn't matter. So the way this works is the other option too, you can pick your starting quarterback, or in the case where teams split starters like the Jets did, 13 or less is Zach Wilson, 14 or more Simeon as a starter. Their completion percentages are roughly the same, so there's no adjustment there. You roll the D6 to get what their percentage is for that game for simulated drives, and that's what you would enter on the Excel helper. And again, I'll show you that when we get to it. I want to point something out here on Baltimore. So Huntley only played 1 game. That's when they rested Lamar on the last game of the season with everything cinched up in the playoffs and their seeding set. So if you did roll a 20 and Huntley happened to be the starter for that game, this minus 9% means when you roll for his hybrid or quick play completion percentages for simulated drives, you would deduct 9% from that. So say you rolled a 4, for Jackson that would be 68%. For Huntley, it would drop down to 59%. So that's what everything means in that row. Going down to run defense, this is referenced when the defense wins trench control in play-by-play mode, and you will take the result of both D10, which are rolled together. So 6, here for Baltimore, 0 to 6, is going to be column J, or column H, sorry, column H on the play-by-play chart. So you'd come here, it is a defensive run, so whatever the runner's rating is doesn't matter. The result would come from column H here. And again, with defensive wins, you can have potential fumbles. If you rolled a 7 to 9 on this first D10, you would then use this second number, and I digress. The second number is what you look at on column H on the run chart. You would use a second number on the stuff chart, which is included on the play-by-play charts of the game. And that will give you how many yards were lost, or if the runner was basically stopped and stuffed. And it also opens up another fumble potential. Moving down to pass defense, same concept. And here, obviously, if you win trench control, you're going to get pressure on the quarterback. He's got to make his reads quicker, go through his progressions quicker. It's going to reduce the completion percentages. So for the Jets, playing Baltimore, if they win trench control, you see 0 to 5 down here would be a stalemate, 60% for the Ravens there. Here, it drops down to 50%, so 40% is here. And then again, as we saw on the rows up here, 7 and 8 are potential sacks. 9 is a potential interception. On 7, if the sack is not recorded, it's a completion. On 8, it's an incompletion. On 9, if there's no interception, it's an incompletion. So that's how that works. And finally, moving down to the last portion of the card, the TO/SK turnover sack rates. The number under offense or off is that team's base rating to lose a fumble, commit an interception, or be sacked when that result comes up in play-by-play. You go to the defense's card, and their defensive plus is the adjustment to whatever rating is over here. So using Jets and Baltimore as an example, Baltimore's base fumble is 1 to 10. Jets do not change that. It remains 1 to 10. Their interception rate is 1 to 7. Jets were awesome at getting interceptions, ball hawking skills. Plus 5, that makes their interception range 1 to 12. And again, we'll go over the specific example. Sacks, same thing, is 1 to 12, 1 to 11 base, and plus 1 for the Jets. Baltimore is pretty solid. They are plus 3 in all categories. I did talk about the run offense, run defense. These two results, and again, they only are going to be used if you're playing play-by-play, or I'm sorry, not play-by-play, quick play or hybrid, and you want to keep stats for the simulated portions of the drive. Again, if you're not keeping stats playing hybrid or quick play, don't need to bother with them. And we'll talk about how they are entered when we get there. Kicking, self-explanatory, extra point, 0 to 97. And it's another design decision. Even though a kicker might make 100% of their kicks, it's never going to be 100% sure thing. They can have a bad snap. Their plant foot can come down and slip, et cetera, and of course blocks. So 0 to 97, which basically comes out to 98%, is the maximum you'll have trying field goals or extra points. So it goes through each yardage allotment here. 0 to 29, same. 30 to 39 is the same. Justin Tucker's pretty good. 40 to 49, 0 to 91, and 50 plus, he struggled a little bit. 20% chance there, 0 to 19. And then the maximum field goal range is here on the bottom. So let's look at the Jets to talk about this piece with adjustments. So 55 yards, 50 to 55 yards, the Jets have a 0 to 82 chance, or 83%, to make the field goal. You can try field goals over 55 yards, and how you adjust that is for each yard over the maximum, you will deduct 10 from the successful make range. So let's say Jets are tied game. They've got a chance to win it, but it's going to be a 59-yard field goal. Go ahead and kick that. It's 4 over the max, which means a minus 40 reduction here to the chance for a successful kick, meaning the result would have to be between 0 and 42. So that is pretty much it for the cards. Let's get into the charts. I kind of went on a little longer than I wanted to. But okay, so 4 charts included in the game. The first 2 were with version 1, the college game as well. And just want to make sure these are showing up on OBS, which is fickle sometimes. They're good. All right, so we went over the kickoff return, punt, and punt return. Basically, when you roll a special teams result, and again, you can have penalties on special teams, so you will roll the D6. I'm just rolling these 2. The black, or the 10, multiplier 10, is always the first number. So Baltimore, just say they're a B, and they roll a 7 on that black die. That kick's going to come down to the goal line. You go to the second number and say the Jets, I'm not looking at their card, but say they're a C on the kick return. 2 is going to be a 20-yard return. That's how that works. Big play and big play cover. I will talk more about that when we get to the big play charts. But that, just like it indicates, means the offense is going to pop one or the defense is going to do an exceptional job in coverage. Same thing works here for punt and punt return. No return means the ball goes out of bounds or just rolls to a stop. Fair catch is FC. And then the base yardage results based on the team averages are here in the other columns. Penalties, offense and defense. So again, if you roll doubles on a D6, and we've got the 85 Bears here. So you resolve the play, and then you have to check for the penalty. And again, we'll do a demo of a play with a penalty. I'm sure one will come up. So 2, that would be a penalty. You roll a D20 again, and it tells you what the penalty is. So 2, we had an offensive penalty. 17, that's going to be holding. And if the play result was good, defense will take that and back them up 10 yards. So that applies to offense and defense. And then penalties on kicking team and receiving team for special teams results. Now you'll notice the asterisks here. Holding, that becomes offsides on a kickoff attempt. And it can occur on a field goal attempt or a punt attempt, obviously. But on a kickoff attempt, that asterisk means it instead is offsides and the offense has to kick off again 5 yards back. Down here on the receiving team, you see the 2 stars on holding. Obviously, on a field goal, that's not going to get called on the defense. I mean, technically it could, but extremely rare. You'd basically have to pull one of the wings down on top of you to allow a free rusher to get past. So on a field goal, ignore the penalty, just go with the result of the field goal. And then on a roughing the kicker, it's going to again be offsides on the kickoff. So that's what those asterisks mean. And then interception, fumble, and block kick returns. These are indicative of what normal returns are. Either no return, you lose a few yards, gain a few yards, or you get a decent return. So this 2D10 result, and this is going to apply whenever you see this as a result of a play. You will always roll the 2D10s and read as a multiple of 10 on the black die and a multiple of 1 on the other. So here, this would be a 12-yard return in that case. This would be 14. Let's stop rolling ones. That's a 48-yard return. So you could get, on this result, you can get anything from a 9-yard. Actually, you could get anything from no return double zeros, up to a 99-yard return, depending on the dice roll. Big play, which is on all three, you go to the appropriate big play charts, which again are coming up. And same thing on fumble returns. 1d6 is your yardage, 2d6. And those, of course, you roll adding them together. Over here on the block kick return, a 1d20, 1d6, 2d6. Again, add them up, or whatever the result is. 2d6 plus 20. So that would be a exceptional return. You roll a 6, add 20 yards to it. That's a 26-yard return. So that is the first chart. And of course, up here, down and distance, first through fourth down, yards to go, and the field for marking with a pawn for your drives, or actually in play-by-play mode. So next chart, the drive chart. So we'll use these two cards down here again as the example, Chicago and KC. All right. So when simulating a drive, and again, this is hybrid or quick play mode. So Kansas City in hybrid mode, their drive offense you see here is a 10. And most of these all-time great teams are going to have ratings close to the maximum, or in the Bears' case, 1 over. The Bears are one of two teams in the set that got the spinal tap. These go to 11 ratings. So there you're going to deduct 11 from the offensive rating of 10. The Chiefs will roll all of their offensive rolls on this row right here, the -1 row. And the only time that would change is if a trait came into play. Conversely, the Bears have a 10. Kansas City has a 10. They were pretty well balanced. So the Bears would roll their drive results off the 0 row. And then if you are playing quick play mode, you use the second number. So say your first drive is successful playing quick play. On the second roll, Bears have a drive offense of 14. Kansas City has a drive defense of 17. So that simulates, the first number simulates the ability to get into opponent territory. And the second number correlates to the ability to finish the deal, basically. So on the second portion of simulated drive in quick play mode, the Bears would roll off the -3 row there. So that's how that works. Once you get your drive result, and we'll go through each row, obviously, too. So punt, kick, anything in these ranges, and you see you get down into the negatives, it gets worse and worse. You will have to kick. You take your D20 that was rolled is a 6. You go here to the punt kick column. That drive went 6 plays, 19 yards, and they will have to kick. Usually that will be a punt. On rare occasions, it might be close enough for a field goal, but whatever the case is, you'll either have to punt or attempt a field goal at that point. If you have a successful drive, and that's in this blue column, so the numbers here going off the 0 column, 34 to 77 is a successful drive. Your D20, and we'll just use the same roll of 6. So there, if you have the ball in the 20 or in between the goal line and the 20, you've got a 4-play, 48-yard drive. If it's 21 to 35, 4-play, 38-yard drive. 36 to 50, 5 plays, 36-yard drive. And I want to address the pluses here. So once you have a successful drive, you will take the D6 roll, in this case a 6, and you will reference, so we'll say, for example purposes, Baltimore had, or Chicago had a 5-play, 36-yard drive. There's no plus here. If there's a plus, it is an automatic 1st and 10 at the spot the drive ends in opponent's territory. And then you jump into play-by-play mode, 1st and 10, go from there. For a result with no cross or no plus after the number, you use the D6 to determine the down and distance situation. So again, KC is a 10 defensively. Chicago rolled a 6 on that. Down here, 6-10. It is going to be 2nd and 8 is going to be the down and distance situation. And then you jump into play-by-play mode from there. If you're playing quick play mode, once you get into plus territory, you look in the quick play finish column. And that will give you results such as 4 plays touchdown, 6 plays touchdown. Those are automatic scores. You just add the yardage. So 5 plays, if you're on the 36, it would be 5 plays, 36-yard touchdown drive. These other numbers might get into the end zone. They might come up short. And if they do come up short at the 10 or closer, that's when you go back and use the goal line rating on the team cards. And again, that's only used in quick play mode. All right, so big play. You roll within this column here. So again, using the 0 row, 78 to 84 is going to be a big play. So how do you resolve that? You take your D20 and you look in the 3rd and 5 plus, or 3 to 5 column on the team card. So again, Chicago, if they roll a big play on the simulated drive, look in this column. A 20 is going to be a big play complete to Kent Marjoram. If you had rolled a 3, it would be a big play run to Walter Payton. So that's how you determined who the ball carrier is on a big play. And then in resolving the big play, say it's Payton, you look at his run rating, which is a G, and that is what you reference on the big play chart. So big play rushing G, you can see these are the results. And again, you'll get results here, exact yardage, D20 roll plus 15 yards, a D20 roll plus 40 yards, and then the 2D10. And this could be an all or nothing. Again, you could get as little as no yardage on that, meaning in that case it's kind of a psych. He slips in the hole and gets touchdown, or you could get a 99-yard touchdown run. And that's in there really, again, to add some variety and also give you a potential to blow the opportunity for a big play as well. And then, of course, in some cases, there is an automatic touchdown on a big play result as well for both run and for pass. Okay. So that's how a big play is resolved in the hybrid mode, and I'll show you where to enter that on the Excel helper if you are keeping stats when we get to that. Drive kill, just what it says. So this is going to be a successful drive, 85 to 89. As long as you do not have a penalty. So when you roll this, say Kansas City is driving and they're pretty good with penalties. So successful drive, but they have to check penalty. 16, no penalty, so whatever they rolled on the D20 for their drive result would stick. If you do get a drive kill, of course, that stops the drive right there and you have to punt. If you get a defensive penalty on a drive kill, it basically you add that yardage to the end of the play, as explained in the rule book. Fumble and interception, turnover chances in hybrid or quick play mode. So here, again, 90 to 92 potential fumble. If that comes up, you will go to the fumble column and your D20. 16 will tell you you went 4 plays, 16 yards, and you fumbled the ball. If you recover it, and again, you use the adjusted ratings on the team card. So in this case, Chicago is normally a 1 to 7 losing the fumble. No adjustment from KC, so that's the final result. If you lose a fumble, obviously defense takes over at that spot. If you recover the fumble, you continue the drive. With the exception of this result, if there is a K after the fumble result, that means you recover the fumble and you have to kick at this point. And of course, if the defense recovers a fumble, they just recover at the spot. Same thing with interception yards. If you roll a potential interception, you have results here where you'll have to kick if you do not throw the interception. This result here, 1 play 32 yards, automatic first down, 2 plays 31 yards, automatic first down on a roll of 19. So that's how that works. And I'm going to cover a situation in the FAQ about what happens if you do not cross the 50 on a simulated drive or if you start in your opponent's territory. All right, down and distance situation we talked about in hybrid mode. It is only used in hybrid mode. The drive charts are only used in hybrid and quick play mode. Hail Mary, last play of the game or half in lieu of a punt. So say the half or the game comes to a close, you're stalled. You can roll 1 play or 1 opportunity for a Hail Mary. And you get that result by rolling the D20 and the 2D10. So 9, the ball would travel 52 yards in the air, so you would have to be, the line of scrimmage would have to be your own 48 or closer. And then 39, that would be an incomplete pass because it falls here. To be caught, it would have to be between a 0 and 10. The best opportunity to catch a Hail Mary is on the 13 and 14 roll. 0 to 12 is caught. Above that is incomplete, and then when you get to these numbers, it's going to be picked off by the defense. So that's how that works. And again, this is an optional rule too, and should not come into play very much at all. So that's it for the drive charts. Let's go to the play-by-play charts. We've seen these, and again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these because it's self-explanatory. You take the ball carrier's rating. If it's a running back, say he's rated an H, and you will get the play results out of this column. And again, on most runs, you will only need that first die. So roll of 3 on the black die. For a D-rated runner, that's 3 yards. That's the worst result there. For an I-rated runner, that's 7 yards. That's the best result in that column. And the results come from the offense wins trench control, of course, when they win trench control. Stalemate or defense wins trench control come from the bottom chart. You cannot get big plays on a stalemate or a defensive win. You can get big plays on an offensive win. If by chance you rolled a 9 on a J-rated runner, he's going to bust one for a big play. You then look at the second die roll. And you go to J on the big play charts. Second die roll is a 3, and that is going to be a 20-yard gain. You see there. So that's when the second die comes into play on running results. And it's pretty much always going to come into play, well, anytime there's a pass completion, it's going to come into play there as well. All right. So again, oops. Fairly straightforward. Just look at the number rolled on the black D10 under the rating, or if it's a reception, it would be the yellow or white D10 under the particular ball carrier's rating. If you do roll a big play, in the case of a run, you would not have to roll again because you have that second die that's not been used. On a pass, because the black is used for the completion, the yellow or white is used for the number of yards. If you do get a big play in this situation, you'd have to roll one of the D10 once more and go to the same rating on the big play chart to get the result. Stalemate or defense wins trench control, same concept, no big plays here. So stalemate, you take the result, and this red result here means a potential fumble. And again, this only occurs when the defense wins trench control, meaning a free, we had a run through by a linebacker or a free defender that was able to deliver a bone-crunching hit and potentially jar the ball loose. If this if a 9 comes up on the stalemate, on a stalemate roll, you just get the yardage and there is no potential fumble. And again, the other thing here is that I talked about with the team cards. If defense wins trench control, you use the defense's run rating if it's not a stuff versus the ball carriers. So again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time there. Big play charts, we've seen them. I'll just go over these briefly. Again, using the runner's run rating if a big play is incurred. We've talked about the automatic TDs and how to handle the 2D10 result here, as well as the D20 plus yardage. So 2D10 again could be a slip for no yardage or a 99-yard run. This would be, as it says, you roll a 2 on the D20 plus 15 is a 17-yard run. Same thing on the pass plays. Going down to the stuff chart, you take the team's stuff rating, and stuff rating is contained here under run defense. You see Chicago's is a B. So anytime you roll 7 to 9 here, you would go to the stuff chart, column B. The second D10 would tell you how many yards were gained or lost. This would be a -3 result on a 3 on the second D10. Fumbles can occur on stuffs, and that's a totally unblocked defender leveling the ball carrier. You would handle those same as any other fumble. Big play interceptions, big play fumble and block kick, and kickoff return, same concept. You get that result on the game chart or the field chart. You will come here, use the second D10 to get what the result is. Or have to re-roll the D10, I'm sorry, to get the result, and then follow the instructions accordingly. So big play interception C, you could have designated yardage 16 to 29, or you would have to roll a D20 and add yardage, blah, 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 and a potential TD, or an automatic TD. Same thing, kickoff and punt returns work the exact same way. You have some automatic TDs on both, and then specific yardage results, and then variable yardage results. And again, you'll roll the appropriate dice, which is always going to be a D20 here, and then add the yardage afterwards to that result. Big play fumbled block kick. Now this basically same thing. And these ratings, the big play interception and fumble ratings are also on the team card. On that same row, run defense, you see here, big play fumble, Chicago's a C. Big play pick, they are an A. So Chicago on an interception has, if they get a big play, has a 20% chance to return that to the house. And the other yardage results are very nice as well. Fumble block kick, some automatic TDs there. Obviously the yardage there on a block kick, you're normally going to fall on it. And point made here on the block kick. This is going to be, again, yardage advanced. The blocked kick, to get the yardage for the blocked kick, you will roll a 2d6, and that's where the ball is picked up that many yards behind the line of scrimmage. I need to throw that in there. And finally, big play coverage. Big play coverage results, and the ratings you use there are the normal team ratings. So say Chicago, say on a kick return, big play coverage comes up. Chicago kicking off is a C. So you would use this column here to get the result. And this is how this works. This is one area, again, you make it, it's in the rule book, but you might want to make a note as well. If it is a punt, you apply this result from the spot that the ball was fielded. Big play coverage also can result in fumbles if you roll a 9, and again, resolve normal fumble routine. Now, on a big play coverage on a kickoff, obviously you can't field this at the goal line and lose 5 yards. So the automatic landing point for big play coverage on a kickoff is the 15-yard line, and you will add or subtract results based on the roll. So if Chicago rolled a 0, offense takes over on the 5. They lost 5 yards. If they roll an 8, they take over on the 18. If they roll a 10 or a 9, it's a return to the 25, but they have a potential fumble. So that is how all of that works. And what I'm going to do now is get into a hybrid mode example. So first of all, setup. If you are keeping full stats in hybrid or quick play mode, the first thing you're going to want to do is fill out the Excel helper, and we'll go into that right now. So on the Excel helper, and again referencing these team cards, so what you're going to want to do is, in one caveat, the screenshot, I need to update this. The pro game is a little bit different. You'll put ranges. It's only going to have 2 stars, 1 star, no stars, and then the defensive results as well. The other team's defense. There you would enter, just say you're entering a run for line control for Chicago. Here they're really good running the ball, so 2 stars would be a 1 to 4, and 5 would be 1 star, 6 would be no stars. And you don't have to enter that on the Excel helper. That's just there if you want it, versus always keeping track or looking at the team cards, basically. So this is the play-by-play portion, by the way, as well, or the initial screen where you enter play-by-play results. So the first thing you're going to do, enter your teams here. They will then populate to these other areas as well. Then you enter each ball carrier in the appropriate slot here. No adjustments here. And then as you're running play-by-play mode, as it shows here, Robinson running the ball, just enter how many yards he gained. If he gets a big play in play-by-play mode, that is entered here. It's not entered in any other spot on the chart, because it's just going to be calculated and assigned to him automatically. If you get a big play on a simulated portion of the drive, that has to be called out. And again, show you that. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Quarterback's name. And again, all these fields are protected except what you're allowed to enter information in. Like you can't enter carries or yardage here. It's calculated by the Excel spreadsheet. Down here on the quarterback, one thing I want to point out is if it is an incomplete, you have to enter the incomplete here. So you just keep a tally of incompletions throughout the game. You see at this point Young only has 2, and Johnson here has 4, and that adjusts their completion stats. One thing not shown here that's on the pro game or the pro Excel helper is the very last row on the receivers column. Sacks are calculated different between the college and NFL game. So in the NFL game, the last row under the receiving chart here, where you enter the receivers' names, is for sack. So what you will do there is you will enter the sack negative yardage total in the appropriate boxes, and it will add up how many sacks you get, and it will subtract the sack yardage from the total team passing yardage here. So example, and we'll say, obviously it's Alabama, but say Chicago or Kansas City. They've thrown for 114 yards, but they've been sacked twice for minus 10 yards. So this, under the total team yardage, will show as 104. The quarterback's yardage total will stay the same because it does not come off the quarterback's total, only the team passing yardage. So that's a new addition, and will help better track stats or sacks accurately if you are going to indeed keep stats in hybrid or play-by-play mode or hybrid or quick play mode for these simulated portions of the drive. So moving on here, tab 2 is the drive chart. This is only used, and let me go back, sorry. You can use this tab only, tab 1, exclusively if you're playing the whole game play-by-play mode. You don't have to do any other tab. Just enter everything here, or you can use a printed score sheet to keep your own stats, whatever you prefer. If you're playing hybrid or quick play, you will enter drive results here, the start, how many plays, how many yards. If there is a big play, you enter the BP symbol. And then if it is quick play mode, you'll have to do the second portion of the drive. If it is not, if you're not playing quick play, you do not need to fill that out. You'll go to the play-by-play tab to finish the drive. That's what I was talking about with big plays too. So here, BYU as the example, they had a big play on this drive. It happened to be a big play pass to Nakua, not Puka, that's his brother who also played at BYU. And that's a 41-yard gain. So whenever there's a big play, you don't enter yards here. You enter the big play recipient, running back or receiver. Runs here, passes here, and the number of yards. What this does is it adjusts the quarterback's completion and incompletion accordingly. It's always going to be a completion, obviously. And then it allows you to carve out his stats when you're reconciling stats for the simulated portion of the drive. And again, if big plays occur in play-by-play, don't need to do this. This is only the simulated portion, and it plays into calculating the individual stats, which we'll get to later. This is key. So here, this is where you enter, one, your run percentage from the team card, and you see run percentage right here. Chicago is 56%. You will then enter the yardage that they gain per run, 4.5. And in this box, defensive yards per carry adjustment, Kansas City is a minus 0.5 on their run adjustment. That's what you will enter there. And what this does is for the simulated piece of the drive, it adjusts the stats accordingly based on percentage of runs, and then adjust the yardage based on how good or bad the defense is on that on the simulated drives. And again, only used in hybrid and quick play. Passing, same concept. You will enter the completion percentage, which we talked about, which you roll pregame. So using Chicago pregame, you roll a 4. McMahon starting. He is a 56% completion rate. That's what you would put there, and that also allocates stats accordingly for simulated drives in both hybrid and quick play. Same thing, of course, for the opponent. And that's really all you have to enter on these to get. And you can see here, like BYU normally here is a 5.2 yards per carries team. This adjustment knocks it down to 4.4. So this defense is better than defenses BYU faces or faced usually that year. So that's what goes in tab 2. Tab 3, we talked about the BCR ratings. So here, and again, we'll use the Bears. So in order, running backs 1 through 6, and in the pro game, there's only 5 different runners that can be involved in the game. So here you would enter using the Bears for Peyton and A. And that, again, assigns touches. Suey and I, McMahon a K, Thomas and Gentry an L. And then, of course, you'd leave the last one blank. In the second column, you would enter their yardage adjustment. Peyton is no adjustment. -1 Suey, +1 McMahon, -1 Thomas, +1 Gentry. And again, that takes the stats that are assigned to them for simulated drives and adjusts them to better match the performance of that particular ball carrier. Same thing works for the receivers as well. You enter the alpha rating on the BCR column, and then the yardage adjustment, a plus or minus number here, and that calculates the stats. One thing I want to touch on here is if you're going through, this tells you if you balance. So you may be going through and say there's one reception for 12 yards that is unaccounted for. This field up here would say 5 and 95, meaning that's who you had to assign the additional reception to. So you'd enter it under the number one receiver, changing that to 5 to 93. That would change those to zeros. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's once you do it a couple of times, I promise it's intuitive, and you'll understand the concept of that. So that just balances the stats, and then here assigns correct stats for each individual player. You see in this example, Tyler Algier, BYU's workhorse, 16 carries for 103 yards. Hall, the quarterback, 5 for 19. Katoa, 3 for 6. Puka Nacua, 1 for 4. McChesney, 1 for 3. Receiving, Puka Nacua, 7 for 128. He was their main guy. Gunnar Romney, 2 for 37, et cetera, down the line. And that's, you don't have to populate any of this. It comes from all the information you enter in the unprotected fields. All right, so that is the setup portion if you're playing hybrid or quick play mode and keeping stats. Beyond that, you would want to obviously have your teams out and then your charts out. And we're going to get into finally an example of play now that I've done probably too deep of a dive into the charts and team cards. It's going to be a long tutorial, but I'll edit and timestamp it too when it finishes processing. All right, so here we go. We're already an hour into this. So I'm going to play a couple of drives really super slow. Slow is a bad word. Deliberate. Okay. I've got my game board off here, so you won't see that. But Chicago, we're playing hybrid mode. And again, I explained at the beginning of the video, I want to use this mode because it incorporates a little bit of quick play and, of course, some of play-by-play. So Kansas City is going to kick off to Pittsburgh. You get the kickoff rating, which for Kansas City is an E. All right. You go to E and reference the black D10, E here on the field chart. Roll of 3, and they managed to get that down to the goal line. Okay, by the way, no doubles, so no penalty. We'll get that out of the way. All right, 4 is going to be the number for the return. Chicago has a kickoff return rating of A. So there you go to A, look at 4. It's going to be a return out to the 36-yard line, and that's where the Bears start their drive, 1st and 10. The only time you'd use the D20 on special teams plays is if a doubles were rolled, and then you'd use that to see if there was a penalty. All right, now we're into the drive portion. So Chicago on their own 36-yard line, and simulated portion of the drive in hybrid mode. Now we established earlier that Chicago was a 10, Kansas City is a 10, so Chicago's drive result is going to come from this 0 row. Roll all 5 dice here. All right, so this you put aside, that's for potential down and distance. And you want the D10s read as a 79. So in the zero column, 79 is a big play. Awesome. So we're going to use the first of all, we'll use the D20 to find the ball carrier. So 6, and again, we use the third, I'm glad this came up, 3rd and 5 row. So 6, that's going to be a big play by Suey of all people. So you see his rating here is an I. You'll go to the big play charts. Look in the I column here. Roll that D10 an additional time. 8. That's Suey rumbling, stumbling, and bumbling. That's a D20 plus 30. So 41 yards on the big play. So that gets it all the way down to the Kansas City 23-yard line. And big play is an automatic 1st and 10. Don't need to worry about that. So now we're into play-by-play mode. And again, you would enter that big play, and I'll show you on the helper here. So entering that on the helper would look like this. It's first half, Suey, and then you'd put 41 yards, and then that would carve out, allow you to carve out his big play when you did the normal stat allocation at the end. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so now we're into play-by-play mode. So play-by-play charts up here. So now, and you can roll this again one at a time, roll the dice at the same time. I roll them all. For simulation, for demonstration purposes, we'll roll one at a time. All right, so 11 on first down. You see that is another run for Suey, of all people, and he is rated an I. Next, you will want to get the trench control. And again, if you roll them all, this is the order you'll look at the dice in. So it's a run to Suey and a 5 for Chicago. Run offense, 1 star. Kansas City, run defense, 2 stars. Kansas City wins trench control. You go down here to the run defense on their card. Run defense with the asterisk. 2 D10s come into play. 4, 0 to 4, that is not going to be a stuff. It's going to come off of the I column on the defense wins trench control chart here. And 6I is going to be a 2-yard gain. It probably doesn't highlight very well. 2-yard gain for the offense. It's going to be 2nd down and 8 now. All right, going to, and again, I'm going very deliberate, and I hopefully don't sound like a condescending 2nd grade teacher teaching a 7-year-old how to do cursive. I apologize, not the intent. I just want to make sure I'm very clear and direct you around the cards and charts as we go. All right, so 2nd down, I rolled them all this time, obviously, 14. So 2nd down, 14, that's going to be a pass intended for Emory Moorhead. And Moorhead is a J rating for receptions. All right, so first thing we're going to do, this is going to be good for the Bears. 2 stars. Look here, 1. Pass offense, 2 stars. 5 for KC. Pass defense, they have a really good pass defense. A lot of the all-time great teams had really good pass defenses. 1 star, so it's an offensive win. So looking at the card under offensive asterisk or offensive win, you see 0 to 5 is a completion. 0, that's going to be completion no matter what roll you're looking at. And honestly, you can comfortably say 0 to 2 will always be a completion no matter who wins trench control. And sometimes on the defensive cards it will go higher. With Chicago and Kansas City, 0 to 2, and then they have that additional completion chance for a potential sack. So anyway, that's complete. Moorhead, as stated, is a J. Offense 1 trench control and the 2nd die. And there is no penalty, by the way. No doubles. 2nd die is a 4I, and you see here, it's going to be a 16-yard completion to Moorhead. If that had been a stalemate or a defensive one, it would have been a 13-yard completion. So there's also yardage differences between a offensive trench control win and a defensive trench control win. And again, logic behind that, obviously running the ball, bigger hole, passing the ball, cleaner pocket, and more chance for the receiver to carry the route into further down the field. All right, so 16 yards. That gets us down to the 5. It is first and goal from there. So the Bears off to a great start. All right, first down and 9. Boy, they have loved, actually it's going to be Sweetness. So Walter Payton gets a carry on the 9, first and goal. Trench control is going to be 2 stars on the run and a 6. That is bad for the Chiefs. That is no stars, so it's going to be a defensive win, or an offensive win on trench control. Payton, again, is rated a G, 1. G on the offensive win, that's 8 yards, and that is in for a touchdown. Chicago jumps out to an early lead. Extra point next. Kevin Butler, 0 to 97. No penalty. 39. Kick is up and good. And again, you would only use the D20 if there was a potential penalty to figure that out. So 7-0, Chicago in the lead. Now let's kick off to Kansas City. Let's see if they can answer the Matt Suey-led opening drive for the Bears. All right, deuces. We're going to have a potential penalty check here. We'll come back to that. All right, 4 on the kickoff, Chicago. Kickoff is a C. So 4C here on the field chart. That's going to be down to the goal line. Kansas City returning the ball. They are also an A. They had good kick returns. So a roll of 5 on the yellow dice is a 26-yard kick return. Now we have a penalty. Now, because on kickoffs you do not use the D20 for anything but penalties, go straight to it. 19 is a defensive penalty. So this would be on the 26-yard line. And you roll the penalty here. 16 on the kicking team. That would be a holding, but again, the asterisks, it's offsides on a kickoff. And Kansas City has elected just to take the ball on the 26. And if you had accepted the penalty, you would kick again 5 yards deeper. And the way you alter the results, touchbacks would now come down at the goal line, and then everything else, so just say a C rated, 0 through 3 touchbacks would now be fielded at the goal line. The goal line landing spots would now be the 5. The 5s become the 10, and the 10 becomes the 15. So that's how you would do that if you had elected as Kansas City to accept the penalty. But they're fine starting from here. So we go into drive mode. Simulated portion of the drive. So Chicago, again, we've already established they have the spinal tap. These go to 11 defense. And Kansas City 10 offense. So Kansas City, using the -1 row, is going to roll for their simulated portion of the drive. 41 and 41, that is going to be a successful drive, or a successful simulated portion of the drive for Len Dawson and co. You see here between the 36-77 range. 10, and they have the ball in the 26, so you use the 21 to 35 column. That is going to be a drive of 5 plays, 36 yards. So 62 yards from the goal line gets that down to the Chicago 38-yard line. Now you get down in distance. Chicago, with that 11 defense, it's going to be 2nd down and 10 from there for Kansas City. You see here on the 6. All right, so now the Chiefs jump into play-by-play mode. And here we go. First play is going to be 2nd down, remember, 2nd and 10. It's going to be a handoff to Garrett. I believe that's Mike. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it is, though. All right, so run play to Garrett and trench control roll. 6, Chicago on their run defense, no stars. Kansas City run offense, 1 star. They have a pretty good running game, so Kansas City wins trench control. And Garrett's rating is an H, so 1 H on the play-by-play chart. On a offensive win is a 6-yard gain. So that gets it down to 32, and it's going to be 3rd down and 4 from there. I'll do this one dice at a time. Play call. So play matrix, 3rd and 3 to 5. Again, no adjustment because its playbook is open here. So 20, that's going to be a pass intended for Alvin Hayes. The speed, I think that's, I don't know if that's Alvin Hayes, I don't know. 69 was a long time ago. So next we do trench control, pass intended for Hayes. Not good for the offense. So Chicago's got 2 stars. Kansas City has no stars. It is a defensive win. So defensive win, it's got to be 0-2 to be complete, or 7 with a potential sack to be complete. 0, what do you know? Len Dawson threading the needle. Hayes is a P. 0P. And that is going to be an 8-yard gain. See right here on the defense wins trench control chart. 8-yard gain, good enough for a 1st down. Down to the 24-yard line. So 1st and 10, Kansas City converts. Play call, 1st down. 14, that is going to be a handoff to Hayes. Trench control. 2 stars, 2 stars. It is a stalemate. So we look in, whoops, I don't want to do that. Hold on. So we will look on the stalemate or defensive wins chart. And the D10 for the result. So again, Hayes running the ball is a K. So you come up here 4K, and 4K is going to be a 5-yard gain. So down to the 19, 2nd and 5. We'll do all these at once. 3 on 2nd and 5. That is going to be a run to Garrett. Trench control is going to be for Kansas City 1 star, for Chicago 2 stars, a defensive win. Roll of 3 on the defensive run roll. Directs you to K on the play-by-play chart. So 6K. And again, defensive win right here. And that's going to be a 3-yard gain. So that's going to make it 3rd and 2 from the 16. All right, now defense is expecting a run. They're going to get a bonus here. We'll do this one at a time. 14 on 3rd and 1 to 2. And 14 is going to be McVay as the ball carrier. Now remember, defense expecting a run, so on the offensive trench control you add 1. That becomes a 6. Tough break for the Chiefs, as that is going to be 0 stars. 4 for Chicago is good enough for a 1-star result still. Chicago really hoping for a stuff here, so wanting 7 to 9, and they get 5 in the box, 7 to 9, they get a 1. Back to the K chart, and 8K. 4-yard gain, they're able to convert still. I want to make a point here with the all-time great set, which is going to be very different from the season sets. It was tough to get a median on some of these teams on the range to use for stuff. So basically, I just stayed with a normal range of 30% stuff, 30 to 40% on some of the current teams. And I'll digress back to this. And actually, these were before the adjustment, so never mind. On some of the current teams, you will have as much as a 60% chance for a stuff, depending on how many tackles for losses that team tallied. So just a heads up on that there will be a few more stuffs in the season sets because that data is easy to find. I could find no tackle for loss information on the 1949 Philadelphia Eagles. All right, here we go. 1st and 10. 7 on the play call. KC sticking to the ground. It's going to be a run to Holmes. Trench control for Kansas City, a 6. No stars. Chicago, a 4. That's going to be good enough for 1 star on run defense. And rolling a 7, Chicago's got the stuff this time. So their stuff rating is a B. All right, 8B on the stuff chart, and that is going to be a horrific 6-yard loss all the way back to the 18. 2nd down and 16 from there. And that brings us to the behind the sticks rule. When you are behind the sticks, meaning more than 10 yards to go for the 1st down, it's obviously going to be more of a passing down, so you revert to the 3rd and 6+ column. And there is no adjustment applied in this case. You ignore the color coding because defense is still up for anything. They're not focused in on the pass. So 2nd and 16 and 14. So again, going to the 3rd and 6+, 14 is going to be a pass intended for Pitts. Trench control, Kansas City, pass offense, a 3 is 1 star. Chicago, they're going to get 2 stars on the pass defense. That is a defensive win. However, 7, you see here in the blue zone, that is going to be a completion if they do not record the sack. So Kansas City going potentially backwards here. So how do we determine the sack? At that point, you would roll, keep this handy. Because again, we're going to want, and this is about as complex as it gets while you resolve these things. So we'll actually go ahead and resolve what it would have been. So going on the assumption that it's going to be complete to Pitts, who is an H, 6H on the defensive win. So 6H here is going to be a 9-yard gain if there is no sack. So note of that, 9-yard gain. Now we have to roll for the sack result. Kansas City is 1 to 10. Chicago, 1 to 9. Chicago, with that aggressive defense, is a +4. So 1 to 13, it's going to be a sack. And 11, Len Dawson is sacked. You resolve sack yardage very simply. 2d6, that's a 4-yard loss. Back to the 22, and it is now going to be 3rd down and 20. Yikes. All right, so now 3rd down and forever to go. The defense will be expecting a pass, so those results will come into play, adjustments. 11 on 3rd and 6+, that is a pass intended for Taylor. Trench control. 2 for Kansas City, they get 2 stars. 4 for Chicago, their pass defense is exceptional. They get 2 stars. That's going to be a stalemate. So you look here, we need a 0 to 4 for Dawson to complete this. 3, it is complete. So Taylor is rated, he manages to thread the needle once again. Taylor's rated an F, which is pretty good. Otis Taylor, if you remember, he was the original high stepper. So F, you see there's some good results here. Roll of 6, and on the stalemate, 6F is going to be an 18-yard gain. So that's going to make it 4th and 2. Down to the 4-yard line. We'll do this 2 ways. So first, Kansas City says we're going to take the points. Field goal is up and good. As you see, this would be, you add 17 yards to the line of scrimmage. So from the 4, that takes it back to the 21-yard line. So 21-yard field goal. 0 to 86 is good there by Jan Stenerud was the Chiefs kicker then. So that's good. Or if you want to go for it, let's go for it. So here, anytime you run a 4th down play, you go to the appropriate 3rd down play calling column on the play calling matrix. So it's going to be under the 3rd and 1 to 2, which means the defense is loaded up for the run. 6, and that is going to be a run to Garrett. So +1 to the offensive trench control roll, 4. And that's 2 stars. Chicago, that's actually going to be 1 star. So Kansas City manages to win trench control. And that is pretty much going to be an automatic 1st down. Garrett is rated an M. So right here. Roll of 6. Uh-oh. Holy shit. That's going to be 1 yard. Never mind. Chicago's defense stiffens and makes the stop. Unfreaking believable. They take over at the 3. If he had gotten exactly a 2, then you would have done the optional measurement. How does that work, you ask? I'll tell you. The drive defense rating, 11 for Chicago. If you roll 11 or less, and again, this is only on 3rd or 4th down when you get the exact yardage needed for the 1st down and is an optional roll. So if you roll 11 or less, he is stopped inches short. If you roll 11 or more, he barely gets it. So if that had been exact yardage, he still would have been stopped short. That's how you do that optional measurement roll. Hope that makes sense there. All right. So Chicago is going to take over on the 3. We'll do one more drive. We've actually seen a good variance or a good sampling of different things here. And again, this is hybrid mode, but you've seen quick play and play-by-play. Actually, I'll do one drive in full quick play as well. Play-by-play at this point, because you see it in the hybrid, it's going to be the same the entire time, but I do want to do a quick play drive. So we'll give Chicago this drive in hybrid, starting from their own 3. And I can already tell you, 27, coming off the 0 column, that is going to be a punt. So look at the 4. Punt kick, 5 plays, 12 yards. They only managed to get it out to the 15, and they're going to have to kick it away from there. And these do not come into play, no penalty checks on simulated drive, because you have the drive kill column that encompasses that. All right, so now punting. Chicago is a B. Kansas City returning is a C. Main game board, no penalty. 8C on, or 8, let's see, 8B on the punt, sorry. It's a 40-yarder. So that is going to come down at the Kansas City 45-yard line. Kansas City is a C on the punt return, 8C. Come over here, and that's going to be a 6-yard return. I'm glad this happened. So this is actually going to be in the FAQ too. So Kansas City managed to return that into plus territory. If you are playing hybrid mode, you will go straight to play-by-play if your possession starts inside the 50-yard line. Actually, let's do that here. And then I'll do Chicago's last drive as a quick play. Just because I wanted to show this example. So Chicago now, 1st and 10, or Kansas City 1st and 10. After that wonderful stop. All right, 1st down, 15 on the play call, and that's okay. Another designer's point. Some teams that start 2 QBs that both have enough rush attempts to qualify for a spot on the chart. I'm not going to list out 2 separate QBs because one, if the one that gets the run is not the one starting, it doesn't make sense. So their ratings are kind of amalgamized to get a standard rating. And Kansas City's QB rating is pretty damn good. And whoever is starting, whether it's Livingston or Dawson, they would get the appropriate rating here for running the ball. So anyway, it's going to be a QB run. Trench control is going to be stalemate. Already established. And again, as I mentioned, knowing how the cards are ordered with trench control stars, I know automatically that Chicago has rolled a 1. They're always, 1 is always 2 stars, and I know that Kansas City is good enough that they have a 2-star on the result. So stalemate. Now, this would have come into play in a devastating way for Kansas City if it had been a defensive win, because this would have been a possible fumble. But instead, 9C, that's going to be a 5-yard gain for Dawson down to the 44-yard line of Chicago, 2nd down and 5. So go down, play call, 17, and 17 is going to be a pass intended for Pitts. Trench control. Chicago's got that mean pass defense. 2 stars for KC. 1 star for Chicago on pass defense. That is a offensive win. So we go to this row here. Roll the completion first. 1 is complete. Pitts is an H. So here, H column on the trench control win. 4. And that's going to be a 20-yard gain. So Dawson down to the 24-yard line, 1st and 10. Buddy Ryan is having histrionics over on the Bears sideline. 1st down and 6, not good for the Chiefs. 15 is going to be another quarterback run, believe it or not, on 1st down. However, it's going to be a defensive trench control win. That roll of 6 just misses a stuff. So instead, it goes to the K rating for Chicago down here. And 7K is going to be a 1-yard gain. Going to make it 2nd down and 9 from the 23. All right, play call 5, 2nd down and 9. That's going to be a run play to Holmes. Trench control. Run defense, 1 star. Run offense, a 4. 1 star. We have a stalemate. And 9. Again, a save, a fumble, or a big play. If offense had won, that would have been a big play. If defense had won, it would have been a potential fumble. But since it's a stalemate, 9I, and 9I is going to be another 1-yard gain. So down to the 22. Chicago's defense stiffening once again, 3rd and 8. 7, and 7 is going to be a pass intended. Again, that's between 5 and 9. So pass intended for Garrett out of the backfield. And trench control roll, 2 stars for Chicago. They're going to win trench control. That is not good because 9 is a potential interception. So glad that came up. Glad we did this play-by-play. So first thing you're going to do is take this result. And again, if it's not picked off, it's going to be incomplete. Never mind. Don't ignore me. So what you're going to do now, calculate the interception range. So Kansas City normally 1 to 12. Chicago's a +6. That's bad. 15, and 15 is going to be an interception. 1 to 18 was the number. So now you determine yardage and take this die. So 4 was intended for Garrett, who is an M. 4M on the defensive trench control win. That is a 6-yard pass where it is picked off. So that is going to be picked off at the 16-yard line. Now we roll our interception return. And roll of 4, that's going to be a 12-yard return, so up to the 24. And Chicago thwarts the Chiefs again. Now we're going to do this last drive. You know, we've done a full drive, that full last drive in play-by-play. So we're going to do a quick play drive now, just to show you how that works, get it on video, because you've seen every other mode. So for quick play, you can take the D6 out, lose them. You're not going to have penalties on simulated drives, and again, that's accounted for in the drive kill chart here. All right, so Chicago, quick play mode, again, rolling off the 0 column. They need 34 or better. 81, and 81 is going to be a big play. And I'm glad this came up. So 15. 15 on the big play. Again, you reference the 3rd and 3 to 5 column to see who the ball carrier is. It's going to be Suey again, this time out of the backfield, this knucklehead. So he's rated an N. Go to the big play passing charts. N. And the roll on that is a 4, so 4N, that is going to be 22 yards. And I'm glad this came up. So 22 yards gets it up to the 46. You are not in plus territory at this point. So if this was hybrid mode, and again, I'll address this again in the FAQ at the end. If this was in hybrid mode, because you did not cross midfield, you do not go to play-by-play, you would roll a second simulated drive. In quick play mode, same thing. You're rolling basically up to 3 rolls now. Because you didn't cross 50, you do not go to the quick play finish, nor do you use the ratings in the second column here. So again, 0 column. 60, and 60 is going to be a successful drive. 19. So 19 from the 36 to 50. It's going to be 5 plays, 31 yards. It's down to the 23. Now you're going to try and finish the drive. So now Chicago's quick play finishing rating is a 14. Kansas City's defense is a 17. We're going off the -3 column here. So Chicago's going to have to pick it up. They're going to need to get 40 or better to finish this. 98. That's going to be a potential pick for Jimmy Mack. So in this situation, we have to roll for a receiver. All right, that is going to be using the 3rd and 5 plus, or yeah, 3rd and 6 plus to see who the intended receiver is. So 19, that's going to be intended for Reitman. Now, first thing you're going to do is get the yardage of the pass. And I apologize. I skipped a step. We use the D20 again. You have to get the interception yardage first. Designer should know this. So if it's not picked off, it's only going to be 5 yards and have to be a kick. So we'll mark that off. It's either going to be a kick from the 13 or an interception at the 13. And ignore that whole thing about rolling for the player because that's calculated here. My bad. So my brain is in play-by-play mode. All right, so 5 yards, and interception rating for Jimmy Mack is 1 to 10. Kansas City is a +5. They're good in the secondary as well. 17, it is going to be not picked off. We'll say that it falls incomplete. It's going to be 4th down, and so Butler's going to come on and try a 30-yard field goal. You see on the team cards from 30 to 39, 0 to 92. Kick is up, good, no penalties, and Chicago takes a 10-0 lead. So we'll stop the play-by-play mode there, or the play demonstration. And sorry for that botch on the interception on the quick play mode. One thing I do want to add, say if that had been a successful drive, from the 23 you would go to the quick play finish, roll the D20. 1, that would have been 4 plays automatic TD from the 23, just to close the loop on that. All right, into the FAQ portion of this rather lengthy now tutorial. I guess it's good to have a living video rule book, but yeah, I'm going to have to edit this and timestamp it. So, entering big plays on the drive chart and the 2D10 reading. We've kind of covered that already. So whenever you're on the big play chart here and you get a result that says 2D10, you treat the black die as multiples of 10 and the yellow die as multiples of 1. So big play passing on the C chart, that's going to be 4, that's a 34-yard gain. Let's say we get a 9 on the G chart here, which is 2D10. That's going to be 95-yarder, so that is the extreme end of the spectrum. 81 yards there, or 1 yard there. So that's where that, I guess, the variance and excitement of the 2D10 all or nothing comes into play. Now, where you enter that on the Excel helper, we also covered. So big play pass, again, you would enter that pass play here. And then when you get to the point where you reconcile the yardage, here's how you add that into the player's total. All right, so say this pass goes to a big play to Puka Nacua, all right? So normally, based on ratings, he had 4 catches, 83 yards, and then he also had a 50-yard big play. So how you would calculate his final stats, enter this automatic stats here, 4 for 83, and then 1, you see the BP, 1 big play for 40 yards. That would make his total 5 catches for 123 yards, if that makes sense. So that's how big play is entered and also reconciled on simulated portion of the drive. All right, next, determining blocked kicks. And this is a good one. We'll bring up the Ravens and Jets cards for that. So let's say Ravens are going to try a 39-yard field goal. Justin Tucker is 0 to 97. The Jets' block rating is 99. Roll the dice, and look at that. That is a 99. You can't fake this stuff. The dice gods are favorable right now. So 99, that is indeed a block. So how you would resolve that? Take these. It's 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage where the ball is eventually recovered, and then you will run or roll for the blocked kick return. Right here. 1, and that would be a 10-yard advancement from the spot that the ball was recovered or picked up. So that's how block kick works. Now, For field goals and extra points, that's whenever that result comes up. So for punts, when you roll a 9, obviously you have to roll a 9 on the black die. So it's basically the same concept, but here it will give you yardage of the punt if it is not blocked. So say, same two teams, 97. 97 is not the Jets' block number. That's got to be 99. So if they're a B, that would be a 43-yard punt. Now say the Jets are punting, and you see on the team card, Ravens are 99 or 98, 99. And Jets are punting, and they are a punting team. So they roll a 98. So it's going to be a 38-yard punt, but 98 falls within the Ravens' block range of 98 to 99. So they block the punt, and you do the same process for the block kick return. So that's that. Simulated drives not passing the 50, I touched on that. If you are playing hybrid mode and you do not pass the 50 on the yardage gained on a successful drive, you will roll another simulated drive, and if it's successful, you would then jump into play-by-play mode. Conversely, if you take possession inside the opponent's 50-yard line, there is no simulated drive. You go straight to play-by-play. The variance is here if you're playing quick play mode and you do not cross the 50 on the first half. You roll with the same ratings under the first half of the drive again, and then go to the second ratings for the quick play finish. I'm sorry. If quick play starts inside the opponent's 50, you would use the second ratings right off the bat. So say Baltimore had a turnover, took over at the Jets 40. You go straight to this rating, 18 against a 16 drive defense, and then you'd roll the second portion of the simulated drive on the minus or +2 chart for the Ravens. So 30 to 77 successful. Go to the quick play finish. That roll is a 4, and that's 4 plays, 24 yards, and you would go accordingly from there. All right, drive starting in opponent's territory in hybrid we covered on that last bullet point, so it's automatically play-by-play mode. Allocating drives per quarter. All right, so this is a question that has come up. So again, you add total drives, 21, and the way you do this is distribute them evenly and then stack the extra drives on the fourth and second in that order. So 21 drives, the first 3 quarters would have 5 drives total, making 15. The fourth quarter would have 6, bringing us to the 21 total, if that makes sense. If the total was 22, the first and third quarters would have 5 drives each, and the second and fourth would have 6. If it was 23, the first quarter would have 5, and the other 3 quarters would have 6. And if it's 24, which is rare and as high as you can get, all 4 quarters would have 6 drives. Going the opposite way, if it is obviously a 20 total, 5 drives per quarter. If it is 19, 4 drives in the first quarter, 5 in the rest. If it's 18, 4 drives in the first and third quarter, 5 drives in the second and fourth. I hope that is clear as mud. But yeah, it's as simple as evenly allotting the drives and then adding additional drives in this order: fourth, then second, then third, then first. And when subtracting a drive, if it's less than 5 per quarter, first, then third, then second, then fourth. But you'll never have drives that low. 18 is as low as it can get. All right, finishing a drive inside the 10 quick play. We talked about it, but let's do an example. So Baltimore gets down to the Jets' 8-yard line, and they stall there. So to get rid of the overabundance of field goals kicked, snapped from inside the 10, goal line rating for the Ravens is 12. Goal line rating for the Jets is 3. Roll the D20. 3, that is within the 1 to 9 adjusted range. So you add 1 play to the quick play drive, second quick play drive, and 6 yards, it's a touchdown. If I had rolled a 16, would have been stopped there, and then you would have then had to attempt a 23-yard field goal. All right, and finally, how to allocate a TD in quick play. And this is the area that was my oversight in the books, or in the rule books. So keeping the team cards up here. So this is how you do it in quick play. Now, quick play, these are rough percentages. So if it's 53% touchdowns or running touchdowns, it's still going to be 1 to 4 or 0 to 4, right? So there's going to be some variance in there. So we have, I'll just explain, and then we can talk about the caveats. So if it is a passing touchdown on a quick play, you roll the ball, you roll the D20 and look at the third and 6 plus column. So here, 17, the touchdown is going to be going to likely. Now, to balance out the differences in percentage, i.e. this isn't straight 50, it's 53 as an example, we still want that potential change factor. So if I had rolled a 1 to 4, it would no longer be a passing touchdown in quick play. It would be a running touchdown, and you'd assign it accordingly. Okay. Same thing if it is a running touchdown. If it's a 0 to 4 here, you'll look in the third and 1 to 2 column. Usually that's going to be a run. 13, this is going to be Hill on the touchdown run. If you roll a 19, then they're going to pull the ball, play action, jump pass, and it's going to be a touchdown to Aguilar. And again, that is just, most of the time, passing is going to be to a receiver. Most of the time, running is going to be a ground touchdown. But we want that little bit of variance to account for the fact that I'm using a 1D or a D10, and it's impossible to get exact percentiles there. So that is how you resolve allotting a touchdown on quick play. And again, hopefully that made sense. So that's going to be it. Long ass video, so hopefully not too long. I'm going to stop recording here. If you have questions, please enter them in the comments. This is going to take a while to process, so it's 6 p.m. Arizona time now. I'm going to eat, start processing this, and hopefully it will be good to go in an hour or so. So Anthony with Bleacher Bums Gaming, thanks for watching. Again, if there's any additional questions, leave them in the comments when this video is up. When it does premiere, I'll try and check in a little bit to get live questions as they come up. But that should cover everything that has come up. Again, a very deliberate example of hybrid gameplay, as well as a final quick play drive and deep dive into the team cards and charts. So hopefully this is very helpful, and I will bookmark this so that it is available on the Delphi forums under the Sideline Strategy Glory Days Football message board, and also on the Facebook page as well. So hope you all have a great night. Anthony with Bleacher Bums Gaming. Again, thank you for the support of both boxing and football, and we will talk to you later. Take care.